Dear Trump supporters, the truth of the matter is, you're a bunch of paranoid, racist, discriminatory cowards. And that's the type of person that you support. Not only is he a fan of Hitler, but he has the same training as Putin, Bibi, the leader of Israel, and the background that Hitler had. Look it up. They all had military training, military background. They all know the same function and ideals. And you only put a military leader in power at a time of war. So, technically, when you guys end up in a war now, it's because you voted the only kind of leader that you should have when you were in that kind of state. And if you don't like being called discriminatory and racist, well, targeting Muslims makes you those things. Some Muslims don't even like their own laws and their own rules in their own countries, which is why they're trying to come to North America. Oh, figure that the fuck out. So, how do they get out of being involved in that? Well, they go to a country that doesn't allow it. And you're discriminating against them for trying to do that, trying to get away from the parts of their own culture and religion they don't like. So instead of targeting them, why don't you fix Christianity? Because it's a fucking mess. But oh no, we should sit around mouthing off about Muslims while the priests molest little kids. And oh yeah, that's just fine, it's dandy. Yeah, I know. We'll all mouth off about Muhammad and the guy that's been dead 2,000 years and shift and deflect focus. Well, we allow all them priests to molest those little kids. Yeah, we should do that instead, shouldn't we? So we'll mouth off about the guy that's been dead for 2,000 years, but not do anything about what's going on right now and, help those children that are suffering right now. I hear the new Pope, not that I know personally, the facts, I mean, or him, I don't know him personally either, but I hear that he takes a different stance on the abuse and molestation done within the Catholic Church and the Vatican. Well, that's very different, isn't it? So if Trump was a real leader, he could have taken that kind of position, but he didn't. All he's done is spent a whole bunch of money that isn't his. It's the taxpayers' money, American money, that belongs to the people and could have gone on advancements for the people, but it hasn't. Not that I've seen anyways. I've seen it go on protecting him while he's golfing. And what else is it? I don't know of anything else actually. I know, oh wait, his wife. It's gone on protecting his wife. Well, then there's the trip to Saudi Arabia. But technically that would be another country with a large Muslim population. And another country that would have a large Muslim population would be India. Yes, people. About a third of the world's population is Muslim. So all that mouthing off about Muslims makes absolutely no sense and just reveals how stupid you are. Which was the biggest surprise to me. I didn't think that Hitler tactics or mentality would still have a foothold in modern society. But apparently it does. And instead of doing what's right, the Trump supporting mentality and populace will stand behind that position instead of fixing the faults with it. I personally know very well what is wrong in society with people keeping their mouths shut and not doing the right thing. And too much of society suffers from that. Well, no, all of society. Well, maybe not all, but most of society suffers from that. I can pretty much for sure say all of North American society suffers from that, because the little ethnic groups that would form in North American culture, well, they would be bullied into silence. So they wouldn't speak up anymore like they normally would have in their own cultures and countries. So yeah, I can honestly say that in North American society, the biggest problem is everybody keeping quiet. How many people turn a blind eye or turn their head and look the other way instead of dealing with and addressing the problem at hand? You know, it may even be something as technically, not to put it down, but as simple as someone beating their dog. And that is a grave instance when the dog didn't do anything wrong and somebody's taken their temper and their problems out on that animal. But just as bad are the people that see that and they don't open their mouth and do anything about it, which is far too common. But, you know, how much of society wants to pat itself on the back and call itself advanced and highly intelligent? Well, we're finding out now that they were far more intelligent than us, maybe, 2,000 years ago. Well, probably 2,000 years ago, but maybe a little more than that. And they didn't go around blowing their own horns and tooting their own pipes, claiming how advanced or how smart they were. But this culture in our era is so full of itself and is so insecure that they need to pat themselves on the back and claim how advanced they are, how capable they are compared to every other civilization that existed on this planet. Well, you smart fucking people, no other civilization on this planet has killed the planet, and we're effectively doing that right now. Because we're not stopping Japan from poisoning the earth. Yeah, this was meant to be about Trump, but there are so many things to discuss, it's probably going to end up going all over the place. And yeah, I know I'm going to hear how a Canadian has no right to speak about Trump. Really? Go ahead and take that position and see what happens to you, because I'll put you in place. How many Canadians have been ineligible for American events because of Trump? Because they have Muslim heritage. So even though they're Canadian citizens, they are still being targeted, bullied, and refused from going to the States. Which, has no relevancy. They're Canadians. They would be coming back to Canada. How many Americans are now staying in Canada because they're not allowed back in the States after leaving for some position? Google and other companies transferred their employees to Canada that couldn't stay in the U.S. anymore. So, they were able to do something about it that other companies can't. But many companies don't have that luxury. And, I wonder how many Americans realize how much they've lost financially because of Trump. Do they realize how many Canadians are not vacationing in the US anymore because of Trump? So, when businesses report their losses at the end of this year, and some of that's going to be because Canadians didn't come to the US on their vacations. They don't go to California, or they don't go to Florida anymore. So, especially Florida, which is apparently a big Trump supporter, they're going to find out in those numbers that they lost money because of Trump. And that money wasn't because of Muslims. It was because of white Canadians that are no longer, wealthy white Canadians that are no longer vacationing in their states. So they're not buying those drinks, they're not renting that property, they're not, buying gas and all that stuff that they would have been buying normally. And I feel that the end of year numbers are going to be a huge wake-up call for Trump supporters and how much they do not realize and do not see. Which, as you try and blame all your problems on Muslims, which is a tactic that Hitler used, but you'll tell us how Trump's not a Hitler supporter or not a Hitler fan, but technically the guy's probably Trump's biggest hero. And yeah, he went to Hitler camps, and he went to Hitler gatherings, and he went to that kind of stuff. And his father was also a leader in the KKK. So, Trump literally has a racist upbringing and a prejudiced upbringing that he did to himself. I don't know about his father's involvement in his upbringing with the Hitler mentality, but I know his father is the one that sent him off to military school or military academy. And then I also know that Trump took it upon himself to go attend Hitler conferences or gatherings or parties with the Third Reich mentality, and he studied that. So part of it he's responsible for. But the one thing that falls after that then is what part of it are Trump supporters responsible for? Well, they're responsible for everything that they support, everything that they allow, and everything that they back. Do they even know what that consists of? Because I recently ran into a young Israeli girl in town here at the donut shop. And she was ready to defend Israel against all the negativity directed at her, even though she didn't know. She just took it with blind faith that all the people talking about Israel, they were bad, they were at fault, and all the good stuff was because of Israel, not the bad stuff was Israel's fault. So Israel gets, well, currently, last I heard, the next bit of money is somewhere around $38 billion. If you go look up pedophilia and Israel on the internet, you will find out that a couple of articles that you run into are from Israeli newspapers. And the one calls Israel a safe haven for pedophiles. Now, if you look at the other side of that, technically that newspaper is advertising that Israel is a safe haven for pedophiles. So it's telling them to gather there. But most people will only notice the story and not see the flip side of publicly saying that to the world. And you can call me anti-Semitic, you can call me anti-Israeli, you can call me all kinds of stuff. No, I don't have a problem with Jews. I have a problem with bad people. And I know that keeping your mouth shut contributes to the problem. So I open my mouth really wide. And if you talk to anybody that knows me, they'll tell you I'm a big loudmouth. So remaining quiet about Trump and what he's doing to my American friends would be in the same boat. And I can't allow that to happen. And I can't allow their own naivety to hurt them or put them in harm's way, which will also affect Canada. Yeah, we're kind of bound to the US a little bit. And oh yeah, I've gotten in fights with Trump supporters on Twitter. And they don't like it when I don't back down from them. Same as I've gotten in fights with Zionists, and half of them are phony. They don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even know that Zionists worked with Hitler. They don't even know anything. They're just trying to belong to something that they don't even know anything about. It's just something that's bigger than them. So they're very small people. And you have to think of them as such. Well, I don't just think of them as such, I treat them as such. And boy, they get really mad. And they get really mad when I remove the cloak of Judaism from them. Because I tell them that Israelis aren't Jews. I know for sure that Christians and Muslims live there. So to generalize and call Israelis Jews is like saying all Catholics are pedophiles. Now, what do you think would happen if we started going around saying all Catholics are pedophiles? We'd get accosted and said that we were making attacks on the church, and oh, there'd be bloody hell to pay. So why can Jews say that Israelis are Jews when it's not the truth? And technically it's not fair to the people that are there to insult them, to call them pedophiles, to call them all kinds of stuff that they aren't, to give them no credit for their contributions or their lives. Well, that's just not right. You're very uncooperative. So if you're a real friend, the question becomes, are you actually someone that keeps your mouth shut and doesn't say anything? No, That's where society is wrong. The real friend is the one that opens their mouth, lets you get mad at them, lets you storm off, lets you never talk to them again if that's what happens. Because they know that telling you the truth is the right thing to do. But the dysfunctional people in society and the dysfunctional part of society, they don't like that person. And they don't like you to have that type of person in their life, in your life. Because they probably don't have that type of person in theirs. No, I'm not doing concrete. This is just stone. Huh. The one question I have for you all is, I'm pretty sure you all have kept your mouth quiet when you know you shouldn't, have turned your head away or closed your eye, kept a blind eye to a circumstance that later on may have come back to haunt you, may have made you feel ashamed or embarrassed. Now, you know, that's probably only with yourself, because nobody else knows about it. But I'm pretty sure that those circumstances happen to everyone, probably every day. You know, even just that one neighbor that somebody knows about, and they know they abuse their children or their dog or whatever. And that person, that neighbor that knows about the neighbor that does this, they turn a blind eye or just ignore it and don't say anything. Well, how much of humanity would be fixed literally overnight if everybody opened their mouths about all those instances? Think about that. If everybody started doing what's right about those instances, how much would be lifted, you know, weight-wise? How much would be lifted off of humanity's shoulders? And thus humanity would start focusing on other matters instead of dealing with that stress and the guilt and the shame and all the other aspects of what everybody knows is wrong, but they don't do anything about it or say anything about it. Good day.